All right, John, and over to you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm really tempted to do that whole welcome to TV land scenario right now. I just like to say I'm super excited about the future ready concept, and I think this has the potential if we get all of us together and pull together on this. This could be really that spark we're looking for educational change in the United States. I like that Future Ready is not just about the technology bit, but it's about the culture and the planning and the professional development. So I'm going to go ahead kind of and jump. Oh, and one other thing, I love being interrupted. So in the Q&A, my co-moderator is going to be helping me here. And so if you've got any questions, I would love for you to jump in and interrupt me or get my attention, because I love hecklers and virtual hecklers a lot. So what I'm going to do now is switch to my slides and talk our way through those. So give me just a moment here. And magic. Again, if you're listening and you have the ability to type, because I don't right now because I'm presenting, feel free to share the hashtag Future Ready and VSLS15. And this is a co-sponsored event through TCAL and Future Ready. And I love TCAL. It's a great organization of administrators that have like-minded educational technology ideas and mindset. So if you haven't ever heard of TCAL, definitely check that out. It's a great way to get all kinds of educational leadership information. And I would like to give a shout out to the organization at the very top of the screen there, Q. That is my employer. We're a nonprofit ISTE affiliate on the West Coast, primarily California, Nevada area. And we have about 7,000 members and love to do stuff like this that support all these different organizations. And a special shout out to Lead Wild, which is a group of administrators that I'm in, just an informal group, and we hang out on Voxer and talk about cool stuff. So getting into the actual meat of the session here, this is called Moving Away from Textbooks, a Better Mindset, and I'm going to show you guys some free and affordable replacements for textbooks. And this is my contact information if you want to tweet me or email me. One of the things I like to tell people is that all of my sessions come with free lifetime tech support. So if there's something that strikes your fancy and you want more information, just drop me a tweet or an email. I will be more than happy to follow up on it. So this is kind of my story to put my personal experience in perspective on this, because what I've done is relevant to this presentation and the situation we're in. But to make a long story short, in 2008, I was working at Course Gold Elementary School there in the Central Sierra of California. And well, we're a two-school district at that point. My principal moved me from 5th grade to 8th grade, and frankly, they just forgot to send me textbooks. And I saw that as a pretty cool opportunity to start crafting my own lessons. I was a self-contained teacher, so I needed a lot of material because I had to cover all the subject areas. And I really started a deep dive on thinking about learning and how things work and mastery. I'm going to share a couple of those concepts with you guys later. That led to a pretty cool job with the Fresno County Office of Education, which led to another cool job, which was opening Minarets High School in 2008. We opened Minarets High School in 2008. Oh, I'm repeating myself. We had MacBooks for every student, and we had Google Apps school-wide, which eventually grew to district-wide. And here's the kicker, though. We started a high school, and we did not adopt any particular textbooks. We did get some samples and some class sets as examples of what we could use. But since 2008, our teachers there have been building most of their stuff. Most of their lessons have been scratch built or acquired, as opposed to purchased with a big colorful box and days of being in the cafeteria learning how to use their graphic organizers. And then in 2013, I moved to Mariposa, California. I didn't physically move, but I moved jobs. And I was most recently the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction for Mariposa County. So I've done a lot of types of things with C&I at the county and state level. And if you're wondering why there's a picture of Yosemite there, it's because Mariposa County is the home of Yosemite National Park, which is really, really cool because a lot of people do not realize Yosemite National Park actually has a public school inside of it about, let's say, 1,000 yards east of Yosemite Falls. And there's a K-6 school right there with about 30 kids in it each year. It's a really neat setup. I used to have to go up there and make sure everything was running okay. That was one of the great benefits of that job. So jumping into this, I'd like to talk a little bit about design. A website that I like to visit a lot is slideshare.net. If you haven't been there, it's easy to visualize. Slideshare.net is like, it's exactly like YouTube for PowerPoints. So you can go there and troll for other people's PowerPoints, and it's a great place to share your work. But I'm going to say 6 years ago, I was looking through there and I found a really good presentation on design. This slide really jumped out at me. A field study identified 22 ways that an automated hospital system can result in the wrong medication being dispensed to patients. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. 22 ways. Most of these flaws are classic usability problems that have been understood for decades. I would like to share with you that my understanding is that about 7,000 Americans every year die because of misdiagnosed, misdispensed medication. That's a lot of people. That's a lot more than we lost in, say, Afghanistan. And I think there are a lot of parallels for this in education, primarily because both systems are designed by humans and both systems have human elements to them. And so what I started realizing as I was getting through this presentation was that we needed to change the way the system worked. Now, if you get into design thinking at all, this is kind of a simplified version of design thinking. You empathize with the situation, you define what the need is, you go out and sketch out and test and try things, you prototype, and then you have the first live test. And the problem with using textbooks is this process is completely taken offline. Basically what you have, if you're using a textbook with great fidelity, as they say, you basically have one of these, what is that? Is that an octagon? You have one box, and the box is hand out stuff. So what happens when you are a handouter for long enough is you stop doing this process. And really what you've done then is you've completely wiped out the professionalism of an educator. And so this is one reason I'm really big on the idea of not having textbooks. We need to strengthen our teachers in terms of this process right here, which is empathize would be, hey, we need to do a mission report this year. And whenever I say mission report, everybody rolls their eyes. So I need to figure out a way to make it so that kids can't wait to do the mission report. Then I need to define what tools we might use to do the mission report. Then I need to maybe take a couple teacher friends on Twitter or talk to some parents that I had in my class last year and think of some ideas that I can make it cooler. Let's say that I decided to use Minecraft to do my mission report. Well, I wouldn't jump right into the whole thing because that's your chances for failure go up when you do a big project right off the get-go. So I might have the kids go to the lab and tell them to design their dream room, you know, the old dream room project, right? That's a classic for a reason. I might have kids design their dream room in Minecraft so that my skills on Minecraft and my ideas on how the mission report could go would be better. And then the first year of that big Minecraft report that's on the missions, it's going to be a test because guess what? Next year, I'm going to empathize and think about how we can make it a smoother process. So with a textbook scenario, you don't have this process at all. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. This is a little form that I use with my kids at pretty much any grade level. And I'd like to give a little shout out to Cheryl Morris. Her Twitter handle is @Gooster4Lovers. This is a thing it's basically a graphic organizer that I made that covers all 8 parts of speech, okay? And the classic way that a textbook teaches the parts of speech is, a classic textbook model is you spend 1 or 2 weeks doing nouns, 1 or 2 weeks doing verbs, 1 or 2 weeks doing prepositions, and the problem is it never all comes together. These are all separate skills and kids never see them. So the gist of this graphic organizer is that the kids get a funny picture on the internet, cat picture, one of those fail blog type of pictures. I put that on the projector, and they use that as a scaffold to pull all these different parts of speech together. And then if you look at the middle block, what they do is they write a paragraph using all the 8 parts of speech. Now what happens is I do this same activity for 3 to 5 weeks. As a teacher, I have less planning. I'm focusing on the content instead of the task. That's an interesting wrinkle there too. Think about that. How often as teachers are we trying to figure out what it is that the manufacturer wants us to do with their textbook? Whereas if I've created this thing from scratch, I know every detail, every in and out. And so this is the idea of mastery teaching as opposed to bell curve teaching, where some kids are going to go and do well, and some kids get that fare thee well look from us. And what's driving this whole thing from my perspective is Common Core, because Common Core really, I'm stealing this catchphrase from a thing called PowerPoint Karaoke, but PowerPoint Karaoke's catchphrase is prepare to be unprepared. And I think that Common Core, the way the assessment works and the way that it's structured, is really calling for students to do things that are far more complex and far more open-ended than we've ever done before. Memorizing the facts isn't as important. And I think that that and technology together are really kind of driving this change and this thirst that I'm seeing in teachers to do something differently. Also, now in California, for example, Ed Code changed. It used to say, you will use the state adopted materials, which frankly, the last time around in K-8, if I remember correctly, there were 2 different curriculums we could choose. Out of all of the whole planet and the whole internet, we could only choose 2 programs. Well, that verbiage has recently changed, and now it says Common Core aligned or locally adopted, which means that school districts now can actually think and plan and be creative in the way that they get Common Core done. I love that. Having 2 choices for an adopted curriculum is really, really hemming us in creatively. And so I really like the way that California Ed Code has changed with regards to adoptions. Okay, first example, if you haven't heard of CK12, CK12 basically is a free service that allows you to take their, what do they call, FlexBooks, and customize them and tweak them and make them work for you. Here's some examples of some FlexBooks. CK12 Middle School Math, CK12 Middle School Math Grade 6, Grade 7, Grade 8. They got math concepts. All of these books can be downloaded as PDFs, and even some people even go ahead and print the workbooks, which is amazingly cheap as opposed to buying some workbooks. Even getting them custom printed as PDFs is a lot more affordable. But if you have heard of CK12, some people don't realize this. You can also go in and you can do these activities. So there are online activities, and look what they're aligned to. They're aligned to a state, they're aligned to NGSS. This is all free. So basically, all the teacher needs to do is jump in there and curate all of these great tools and do some supplemental tools, and they are good to go, and this costs nothing. And there's all kinds of content. There's articles that go with, there's activities, study aids, web links, videos, and as you see with the big blue plus sign, you can also make your own stuff and upload that. I think that's a really good model going forward. The other part is it has CK12 has an element that's kind of like Khan Academy, where kids can work independently. So some people still think of CK12 as textbooks online, but CK12 has really done a good job of moving into activities that give feedback. You can actually run a class through CK12. And here's a good vote of confidence. Utah Office of Education, and Utah does some really cool stuff. They have made CK12 a statewide adoption, and they've gone ahead and jumped in with both feet. And that's pretty cool. I really like, if you look up at the top, the menu bar there, cost calculator. So we spend about $9 billion a year on textbooks in California. It would be amazing to see what we could do if we could get that money back for devices, more bandwidth, manipulatives, science materials beyond just the textbook. Relative weaknesses on CK12. Optimally, teachers have to curate and build. They cannot just turn it over. So they're going to have to go in there and do things to make this process work. It's not a deal breaker, but it is disorienting for people when they're first starting out. The other weakness on CK12 is there's no language arts and there's no history. So it's not like you can do district-wide adoption on CK12 and be done. I'm hoping that at some point some language arts and history will appear, but not right now in CK12. And then Khan Academy. A lot of people think of Khan Academy like this. It's a cool dude talking about math and writing on a black whiteboard. But this, to me, is the magic of Khan Academy right here. And it's amazing how many teachers do not realize that there's actually the coach and the facilitator background bit that they can do. So this gives teachers a really good amount of feedback as far as how many times kids are failing or not failing, badges kids are earning, and it really allows people to customize students' experiences to what they're actually needing instead of making everybody do the same thing, the old teaching to the middle. Relative weaknesses of Khan Academy, teachers have to be able to not go robo-teacher. So this is not the kind of deal where you can just say, do your Khan Academy and kind of mindlessly turn it off to kids. What happens when you do that is kids will start cheating. They will pay their friends to log in on their accounts, and you really still need to have direct instruction that is focused on what kids need, that's face-to-face, and use Khan as a strong supplement as opposed to the entire program. And I've seen that happen in some places. So you got to be aware of that. The alignment bit, Khan is not necessarily Common Core aligned, and it's not necessarily good practice for Smarter Balance. So that's going to take some teacher work on that, making that bit work. And there's no language arts that I've been able to detect, and only a little bit on history. So it's kind of like a CK12 in that sense. Okay, now we're getting into not free, but affordable tools to change the way your curriculum and instruction department works. ESGI software, it's about $100 a teacher a year. It's really optimized for K1, K2, maybe a K3 experience. But this is basically the workflow that a teacher does. If you see the big black screen that says Brian Kingston, what happens is the teacher can sit with a primary student. They can use their iPad or their Droid, and they would sit and ask the question. They would say, what number is this? And if Brian says that this is the number 2, they would click C for correct. And that data, instead of going onto a piece of paper, which classically sits in a milk crate, that data goes into this dashboard. And so each teacher gets a dashboard on each kid. So we can see all their analysis, we can see actual data. All of the data is happening in the cloud, and then the district office or the site administrator, they also have a dashboard that indicates how the whole district is doing in that work. So it's a really robust process that's also really simple, and it really focuses on teachers sitting with kids like we do in running records and things right now, but the data itself is going into the cloud. I think this is a really cool model for really diagnosing what kids need and what they're good at and what they need more work on. You can also print test letters and little reports for parents weekly, and it includes the flashcards only for the ones that the kids have missed. Why practice the ones you know? Another great little tool is called Front Row, frontrowed.com. And basically on Front Row, the kids use their devices and they do math problems. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Teachers can set up dynamic groups. They can use this for their standards-based report cards, and they can do all the one-click printables for paper practice that they want. That way, if you have kids who don't have internet at home, you can easily print their homework for them. It gives kids real-time feedback of their practice data, and it's nice to have grade level equivalency. I know that we get that a lot on the reading side, but sometimes it's hard to acquire on the math side. It's all Common Core based, and Front Row is free for teachers. So this is what the interface on Front Row looks like, and what I like about it is, I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor here, but on the right side, kids have a workspace where they can work the problem, and it'll give them feedback. And so they have these cool manipulatives. How much does this cost? This is free for teachers. And here's some more details about it. This is Front Row Ed. There's an iPad app, a Chrome app. It's Common Core based. It has analysis tools. There's printables. It's pretty impressive. Now, the price for a school is about $12 a kid, which is not cheap, but compare it to the price of buying textbooks every 5 years. I think you'll find that it flattens out pretty evenly. Front Row is very much focused on a K-8 model. Another great tool for jumping to Common Core that I like that's very affordable. Now, I show the price as $800 per school per year. That would be for a single school. If you have a group of 8 schools, I believe it's down to $300 or $400 a year for the school as unlimited students. But this is called MobyMax, MobyMax.com. And this is a fuzzy but good picture of what imagine how many human hours have been lost with teachers correcting math facts. A lot of human hours going down the tubes. And you know what happens when people spend whole weekends correcting math facts is they tend to get less excited about it. In MobyMax, this is what the fact mastery table looks like for your class. The yellow indicates things that kids have mastered. So what we're doing here is we're being more efficient on time because A, the teacher's not hand correcting these, but B, and what may be more important is the teacher can realize that we only need to practice certain parts of the table. This MobyMax is not even an app. It just simply works on an HTML5 window on any device. So there's nothing to install. A couple more things about MobyMax is it has adaptive practice. So as kids are doing worse, they get easier problems. And then as they get better, they get harder problems. It has animated teach me lessons where if kids mess up, it'll walk them through the problem, including a read aloud icon. This is what the generalized interface looks like on a device. Students get math, reading, writing process. They get test prep that's similar to Smarter, Balance, and Feel. They can earn badges. They can chat with the teacher. It's a pretty cool little setup. And they can work their way through all these things. Now, what I would suggest to teachers is that they spend about 20 to 30% of their day working on a tool like that. And then the rest of the time, they're doing really cool direct instruction kind of stuff. So hoping that that's looking really good. 3 other tools that I really like if you have devices, and this is why devices are a big deal. Socrative allows us to gather information for kids on the fly. It allows us to give them exit exams that are pre-configured. So for teachers that are busy, they can just click the button and go. That's the one on the left, Socrative. It works on any device. The feedback tool in the middle is called the Answer Pad, and it's pretty cool because kids can actually write and submit their answers. So like imagine for a math problem like this student's doing. And then the third one there is called Go Formative. Go Formative. Go Formative allows you to see what every kid is doing at the same time. So all these tools are free and really capable ways to have kids not be workbook dependent. Teachers can pose problems and situations and get immediate data feedback from their class. So those are 3 nice little add-ons. I'm kind of moving to my wrap-up now. A really good resource. If any of this has sounded interesting to you, I would definitely check out ditchthattextbook.com. It's a really good book by a Google certified teacher named Matt Miller. And the overview of the book is as follows: why go digital? Ditch that mindset, ditch that textbook, and then ditch that curriculum. So if you're looking for a deeper dive on how to move away from textbooks, Matt provides a really good book. And the ditch model basically is this: it's different, it's innovative, it's tech-laden, and it's creative, and it's hands-on. So that's the DITCH acronym. But you can see where those tie in a lot with design thinking that I was speaking about earlier in this session. And here's some great quotes. So, hey, look, there's one for me, which is kind of nice. I like being in a crowd like that. If Rick Wormelli's liking your book, you probably have a really good book. Same, I would say the same for Steven Anderson, and I would say the same for Dave Burgess. So definitely take a look at it. And here's what's great. The first time you log into Matt's website, you get 101 practical ways to ditch that textbook for free. So if you don't have time to get free ways to ditch a textbook, you might want to look at your calendar. Here's a little sketch note from Matt, and I really like this. No matter what our students experience at home or in the community, it is our job to ensure every school day is their best day. And I would argue that if you put yourself in the Wayback Machine and think about what you were enjoying at school, it probably was not the worksheets and the fill in the blanks. So I think we have a strong moral commitment to move ourselves back to teachers who create, enjoy, and own their learning. So my name is Jon Corripo. I'm the Director of Academic Innovation for CUE. There's my email information. There's my Twitter handle. I would love to follow up with you. I will answer your email if you have questions, concerns, or comments. And please do, I'm giving it back to my eye in the sky now. Please do take the survey and let me know how I did. And I love feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and stop screen sharing right now and jump back into the video mode. Thought I was. And yes, video's back. I'm going to take a look at a couple of the questions here. Carol, yes, you can use CK12 books as PDFs, so you can use them online, and you don't have to print them. I'm just proposing that some districts, those feel comfortable to the beginnings. Links to the tools, I hope I'm saying this right, Vibha, I would email me and I will send you links to all these and more. There's a lot out there. This is just the 20-minute version. And let's see, Peggy George, can I say more about what it means for a teacher to jump in and curate? Do they find CK12 units? Yes, Peggy, they can basically, it's sort of like tagging. They can jump in and look through the book, and then they can pull those little resources together, and what the students see is kind of a seamless experience, very much like what they might experience in Khan. They can pull all those things together. And let's see, Joe. Thanks for the mic drop, Joe. I'm going to +1 that one on Joe Sanfilippo. Joe Sanfilippo is doing a session later today. If you guys, if you need this kind of energy and leadership, Joe's a superintendent that is really, really good and high energy. So I'm just flipping through the last of the questions. Is front row? Yes, Carol. Front row is most definitely Common Core. In fact, one great thing about frontrowed.com is that you can actually set up your pre-quizzes by Common Core area. It's magnificent. You can literally say to the class, hey, I need you to jump into front row, and what they're all going to get is a Common Core pre-assessment, and that is money, right? We're always looking for that good pre-assessment online. So thanks for your questions and comments, Peggy. I'm ready to wrap up now. If Future Ready wants to take control of the TV back from me.
Thanks, Jon.